Welcome to Beyond the Next Chapter. I am your host, Whitney Clark. It is Black History Month. And so on this week's episode, we are going to expose you to some Black authors that you may have not heard of. So the perfect person to join us today is Petra Sherbin-Fox. She is the founder of the Lit Twis't. It is the first Black-owned mobile bookstore in the state of Arizona. So Black History Month is, of course, a time to celebrate and recognize the achievements made by African Americans across the country and here in Arizona. And it's something that Petra does all year long.
365 and 366 on a leap year.
Thank you for being here. We so enjoy chatting with you. I remember when I first interviewed you, right when you opened the mobile bookstore.
Yeah.
How has your life been since then?
Wow. I mean, I think we were just like a week or two old when we first connected. It's been a beautiful, wild, challenging, expansive, transformative ride. But it's been beautiful. And honestly, I could not have prepared myself for all that, the last year has been for us.
Why did you open the Lit Twis't?
So I've always been a lover of books. I remember a lot of my core childhood memories have been in the bookstore. My dad used to take me to Strand Bookstore in New York City. If you have never been, highly recommend. It's 18 miles of books. And I just love the smell of books.
Wow.
It's my thing. But I've always felt like books has always been my happy place. And so I've really wanted to do a brick and mortar. However, my husband's in the military. And that does cause for a little bit of challenge when it comes to actually creating roots places when we often move every 4-ish years. He was like, mobile option. I was like, I don't think so. I'm not really feeling the mobile option. But he was like, you can do it. I'm very big on creating a vibe. I wanted it to be warm. I wanted it to be welcoming. And I wasn't confident that I would be able to do it with the mobile option. However, my husband was very confident that I would be able to do it. And when people walk into the store, they're like, it feels so warm and welcoming. And I'm like, that's what I really wanted. And I didn't want to sacrifice that, by doing a mobile option instead of brick and mortar. But we went with the mobile option. And honestly, it's super convenient. It works for my lifestyle. I have a 9-to-5 that I absolutely love. I have a lot of kids. I know it's only 3, but those who know 3 is 50.
And one of them, and at least one's a teenager. So
one's in college.
Well, okay.
He just called me asking me about what's happening.
I did see that. Yeah.
You did. So right, so it's I have 2.5 in the house maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
It's 50-ish in the house, but it does cause for challenges with our schedules. My husband, again, being military, I spent a lot of time with him deployed, so it's just been the perfect option for us, and it allows me to continue to occupy this space of book loving, but actually it being so heartfelt and not the pressure of having to pay this crazy overhead with a brick and mortar store.
Totally.
Yeah.
So you make it your mission to highlight Black and Brown authors. Why is this something that is so important for you and compelled you to open your own space?
So I go to Barnes and Noble and I have to sift through. That would be very annoying for me, especially as somebody who does. I'm very hyper focused on making sure that I support my community, especially when you think about or you read about the statistics. Less than 4% of the publishing output are Black bodies. That is rough, right? And so there's so many pieces that then become more difficult. It's harder to get on the USA Times, best-selling list, New York Times best-selling list, shelf space, book advances. There's so many things that, end up making it more difficult for some of these writers, these indie writers, hybrid writers, even traditionally published, authors. And so for me, it was okay, well, I want this to be a space of amplification of the voices that, that I know are underserved. I want to make it easier for the reader who is looking for these books to be able to find them. And I want to support the Black community in a way that, feels innately aligned for me. And so books and Black women, especially, we do have a few Black men books. My husband's like, what about the men? I'm like, I guess. No. But I, it's been important to me to ensure that the shelf space is not we're not fighting for shelf space. This entire space is dedicated to our voices and our stories and our culture.
Yeah, and it's so important for people to read diverse authors and to expand, who they are actually reading.
Sure.
What have you heard from readers? I mean, since you started, what has sort of the feedback been?
I mean, so this has been so, it's like so widely accepted. Like it's been so welcomed in the Valley. We actually had there's an event yesterday or this weekend that we're doing with Creepy Book Club at the Scott Resort. And we have people coming in saying, wow, how great is this? Like, what books should I read as a white woman? I recognize my privilege. What are some things that you think would be beneficial for me to read and to be aware of? And so those conversations, I think, are pivotal, especially in this climate, especially in this world, especially with how what we're experiencing right now, like being able to have a different perspective. And I mean, like, we haven't heard like a bad thing yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody, not only like, oh, it's really warm, like you have such a great variety of books. You continue to stock different books. You have all of these options for us, and it could be self-help or romance or speculative fiction or memoirs. So there's going to be something for everyone.
Yeah, I love that. And you're so easy to talk to and so welcoming. It's easy to see why, like, you've been so welcomed. So I said, okay, can you bring in 10 titles? Which is
so hard.
I know 10 is like not that many. We're going to have the full list in the link to the podcast if you're listening on Spotify. So we're going to have the full link. So we're going to talk about 5. Yeah. And do you want to start with Bell Hooks?
Yeah, we'll start with Bell. So we have Communion, a female search for love. And so this is like I have my notes here too, because I've read this a few times, as you can see my annotations. But this is probably one of my newer copies because it looks a lot fresher.
It looks like brand new.
Yeah, I think I may have only skimmed through this like once or twice.
Okay.
My original ones I would not bring here because I think
been through it.
I think the actual cover is missing, but anyway, I digress. But it's a reflective psychological exploration of how women receive love, and why so many women struggle to find and sustain it. So we're taught to give love, right, or be nurturing and be caring, but what about how we are able to receive it? And this comes from like a childhood. Many women are taught to desire love, right? Be loved by those, but not taught how to practice it. Love is a practice. It's something you just say and you just, hey, I love you. And it's like, it's an active part of like choosing. Like I know with marriage, like I choose my husband every single day, even when he's making me mad, right? And I choose to also create a space where I'm free to continue to grow and allow him the space to grow, which is ultimately the act of real, true love. So like women are told from childhood to be desirable, but not self-actualized, seek validation, but not mutuality, endure emotional neglect and not expect emotional care. Like it's like this whole ride or die thing. I have to go through all of the pits of hell in order to see the sunshine, right? And it's like, no, we should not have to go through that. So, Bell Hooks does tell you like love is a practice. It's all about extending oneself or extends oneself for the purpose of nurturing one's own or another's spiritual growth. And it's a practice, it's a care, it's knowledge, it's trust, it's honesty. And so this book really dives into that. And I think that one of the things that like I wish I would have read this at 18, 19. And I might not have understood because I read All About Love, which is one of her books in this series. I didn't really get it until I was like 25, but we're not necessarily having these conversations. And I think that every woman could use the gifts of this book, not only to provide that level of healing for yourself, but you also, as you heal yourself, you heal your mom, you heal your grandma, you heal your daughters, you heal your friends, because you show up differently with more information. So highly recommend.
If you don't mind me asking, how old were you the first time you read it? In your 20s?
I was in my 20s, probably early 20s. Because I read All About Love first at 19. It went like over my head. But again, I was a young mom. I had my first son at 18. I didn't really know. I thought that love had to feel hard. Like that was my experience with love to that point. And so I was like, what's this all about love thing? Like I didn't relate to it, if you will. But then when you realize at a certain time, like, okay, what I have normalized in my life is actually not normal. And now I have to figure out how do I create normalcy in something or recognize that this is not normal and I have to make some changes. So I read it again in my like mid-20s. I want to say like right around when I got married, so 26, and then it started to click for me. And then I read it again. And then, so there's this one, there's All About Love, and there's also Salvation, which is all about like, how we gather, how we commune. So all about love, communion, and salvation is a 3-part series, but it's also books that you could read standalone.
What is it about Bell Hooks' writing that you love?
I love that I love that she reminds us that things can be soft. It doesn't have to always be hard. We get to show up in these spaces, and we are, not only do we need to be desirable, or should we be desirable, but we have to also desire the spaces that we walk into. It has to be a mutually reciprocity-filled experience. And it also breaks down what love is, what it's not. And then it's like, like caring and being nurturing and like providing the fundamental, like bare basics that's not enough, right? This is a practice that we have to continue to choose to show up and choose to continue to refine.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah, Bella's my girl.
I love that.
I feel like everybody's my girl. Like, all of them are my girl, but
that one. And it's a good sign when I never used to be somebody that would reread books. I was like, why would I reread a book? And the older I get, the more I see so much value in doing that, because you're gonna take things from it that you might have not taken 10 years ago.
1,000%.
Especially something like that.
Yeah, especially when you can only kind of interpret things based on how much you know yourself, or how much you've been able to experience. And so, when I first read All About Love, I was like, okay. But then I was like, what? But they're also easy reads. Yeah. So it doesn't feel like, oh my gosh, super hard to be able to understand or kind of, sift through. It's definitely not that. But every time I read it, or I read a book that I reread often, it's always, I'm in a different place in my life, and I'm able to gain something else from it. And that's why books are so healing for me, because you can continue to reread things and you're like, oh, I didn't see this, or I didn't recognize this because it might not have been important at that time. But now, based on where you are in your life, it is. Yeah.
And that's kind of like your next choice, which I know you've read multiple times. And it has a Phoenix connection.
It does. And it looks like I've read it a few times. So, Renaissance of Our Own by Rachel Cargle. She actually starts this book. She starts writing it in Phoenix. I've met with her. She's come to our book club, and she's like, I love Phoenix. It's like one of those healing places for me, which I hear a lot from people. But this is one of my like books to reset the end of my year with. It allows you to sit down and recognize, okay, what are some of the things that we're doing that's conditional? Like, that we've just been kind of taught to, like, that monotonous, hey, I always put my jacket over here, and I always do this because I always do it, versus because it actually is aligned with what I want for my life. She talks about her own, like, her own journey on choosing different. She was raised very religious, and then she got married, and she did all of the textbooky things that would say, like, you should be happy. You have the husband, you have the life, you have the house, you have the religious connection. And then she realized that that's not what she enjoyed. It's not in alignment with what she truly wants. And then you experience her kind of go rogue, if you will. So there's like a bunch of things here, and some reflection questions, like identifying your highest values. And that's one of the things that I continue to figure out. Like, one of my highest values is impact. So I ask myself, is what I'm doing allowing me to be impactful, or is it not supporting me in being impactful? And so you get the opportunity to kind of put these things into place. And then, does this action or choice connect to one of my highest values? Will it bring me, to being impactful, ease, and abundance for her? And if it's not, like, you get the opportunity to say, hey, I might have done this before, but like, now I changed my mind. And I don't want to do it anymore, right? And I love the idea of the pivot. Yeah. I was like, I did, but now I don't. Yeah. Like, I'm not.
Yeah. And I love that there's actual questions in there.
Yes.
Because I don't like love self-help, but this is like a memoir. But when there's specific questions in books like that, I find it really helpful.
Yeah. The activities. I'm not really heavy self-helpy either, because like, I got to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I got to do all that before I'm to be successful, versus, hey, take a second to sit down. Here are some questions for you to consider for your own journey, because what works for me might not work for you. And you have an opportunity to figure out what your roadmap looks like. So yeah, it's very much like a memoir, it's self-help, but also like a space where you can journal. And it gives me an opportunity, again, every December, January. I don't like to make this whole new year, new me, right? That's not my jam. New year, better me maybe, yeah. Right? But I do take the winter time to sit down and kind of recalibrate what's worked, what hasn't worked. what do I want to see, and what adjustments do I need to make to do that? I don't take action in winter, but I do deep reflection, and this book really helps me do that.
I love that. And I feel like the older you get, the more you are okay with accepting that, okay, I'm learning about myself.
Right.
There's never going to be a whole new me.
Yeah.
I'm going to learn about myself and learn what changes I can make in my life. And I think when you're younger, you think new year, new me, but then when you get older, you're like, I'm going to be the same person, but what can I learn and teach myself?
What can I do differently?
Yeah.
Right. Like how are we going to be a new person if we're taking the same habits, not necessarily, it's like addressing the leaves, but not the root.
Totally. Absolutely.
You know? Yeah.
Okay, so if you're not watching this on YouTube, you have to go Google this because this Kennedy Ryan cover is like the cover and then the sprayed edges. I think the sprayed edges are my favorite trend in books, right?
It is. So I got this book from a company called Cover Snob, and it's so beautiful.
It's so pretty.
It's
the colors, everything about it. So it's Real by Kennedy Ryan, and Kennedy Ryan is one of my favorite romance authors, and I know one of your favorites too.
Yeah, she is. She actually got this one signed. I forgot.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I took it to the bookstore.
God, cute.
Yes. So Kennedy Ryan is one of my favorites. I am working hard to get her to come to Phoenix, Arizona. Kennedy, if you hear us,
you're welcome.
You are welcome here. We got you, girl. Like, come on down. But no, she's amazing. She writes with such care, and just you can tell that her goal is to not create harm. It is to work us through really complex, circumstances or topics. This particular book, the main character has lupus. My mom also has lupus, so I did find a really close connection. And you see her kind of fall in love with this producer who is very closed off. But you know what? I like my men unfriendly too. Be friendly to me and not friendly to others.
Grumpy sunshine, I think is what
that's
they call
what they call it. Yeah,
that's
cool. I'm super cool with that, right? But you watch her navigate, an autoimmune disease, and she does a great depiction of how that looks. And then you see Cannon, who is the male main character, and how he has processed loss and how it's impacted him as an adult. Since he lost his mom. So it's great to see this story come together. But every book that I've read from Kennedy Ryan has been very caring and very nurturing. And then when she talks about, she does research, 3 months of research before she writes about a topic. Her son is autistic, but she had a book about autism representation, and she still did research because it's a spectrum, right? So there's so many different experiences and vantage points. And so I stand 10 toes down on my girl Kennedy, but this book is an amazing read, and the sequel comes out in May.
I love that, and she has so many different books. I mean, she has sports romance books.
Yes.
And what was it about this one in particular that made you choose this one?
So it was hard to choose this one, and I probably chose it more because I love the cover too. This is a really great visual. I know that the sequel is coming out, but I really enjoyed this one, and I think it's because I kind of saw my mom in it. And I saw lupus is one of those diseases that it's now coming out more conversations. When my mom was diagnosed 36 years ago, they initially told her to go see a psychiatrist because they were like, nothing's wrong with you. You're fine. Until she sat down and was like, listen, guys, I'm doing enough research. I think I have lupus, and I'm not leaving here until we have these conversations. And the medical space, especially for Black women, is a space that it comes with a lot of, you advocate for yourself. Some doctors are taught that Black people can process pain at a higher level, and that's some of their teaching. So when a Black person comes into the, to the emergency room or had babies, it's they can handle more than a normal person, and it's unfortunate, right? So I just think she did a great job at kind of highlighting that piece too, as a person who advocated for herself, didn't give up on her dreams because of her circumstance, and found love in the process of it. So.
I love that.
Yeah.
And she just does such a good job of talking about mental health and
100%.
in her other books that I've read, and therapy, and that's such a taboo topic. Especially in I can't remember the title, where it's Men in Therapy, which is a whole nother.
Before I Let Go.
Yes, that was it.
He went to therapy because his son kind of made him go to therapy. And at first he was like, I'm gonna sit here and just.
Yeah.
And that's also one of those conversations, especially in the Black community. It's we don't get help. But if you are sick, right, and you're physically ill, you would get help. Or if you know that you need support, because it doesn't mean that something is wrong to get therapy, but it's like, hey, I need a place where I can have conversations, I can dig deep into things. And so, again, she takes those topics and she creates a space where it is normalized and humanized in the process, and then shows the benefits of it, even when sometimes it might be resistant.
Yeah, totally. And that's like the beautiful thing about reading and books is like it's just like your world opens up, you feel seen. There's so many reasons to read, and all of those ones you listed are like some of my favorites.
They are. I love to get lost in it because I still, you don't have to read self-help, history, and all these things to learn. You can learn in every single one of these, and so that's my...
Yeah. I feel like fiction is where I get the most out of fiction.
100%.
I mean, it doesn't have to be nonfiction for you to learn and really feel something, so I love that.
I made a resolution, I guess, if you will, 3 years ago. Like, I'm going to start reading for leisure. And I've learned more reading for leisure than I have
100%. Totally. Yep. Okay, so this next one is one that I've been on hold at the library for a long time, which is a good sign. It means a lot of people are reading it.
Yes. I know Libby is I know even for Libby, I'm like, I'm sorry,
sometimes
guys.
You get the skip the line ones.
Yes.
And then you got to get it right away.
Hurry up. You got to move fast. You got to move with some urgency, knees to chest. The Girls Who Grew Big. This is another, probably one of my favorite reads last year. As a teenage mom, like, wow, I wish I had a bunch of teenage friends that were pregnant that knew so we can help each other out, because what is happening right now? But they kind of go to this place in Florida, and you see these young girls come together and support each other in pregnancy and like raising babies, very young babies, but like coming together. And one of the girls kind of walked away from her. Her parents sent her to this like a boarding house or boarding area or town for young girls who are pregnant, and she walked away from her scholarship for, I think it was track, or was it swimming? I think it was swimming. And they were like, well, when you're done with this baby, you're gonna work back on track. And then you see her figure herself out. She has the baby. She does all the things that she wants to do. She has this community of people. She was struggling with breastfeeding. One of the girls was struggling, and the other girl was like, take out your and do it like this and hold it like that. And I was just like, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, wow, I wish I had that. I wish I would have had somebody say, hey, Petra, you having a hard time with that? Take out your let me help you, breastfeed. And I'd have been like, oh, wow, this is so much easier than I thought. Instead of me like trying to figure it out on my own.
Totally.
And it kind of normalized like, hey, we got each other. And you see all the girls kind of go into their own way and figure themselves out, and then rewrite what they think they want for themselves too. So they think like, oh, teenage pregnancy is going to ruin my life. And then they find like, wow, I can actually still forge my path. It might be more difficult. I know for me it was. My mom was like, you're going to have such a hard life. I'm like, I know. I think, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a little bit harder. I was about to go off to college and do all the things, and I find out I'm pregnant. I'm 4 months pregnant already. And so it's like, there's not much I can do besides have this baby. And it was like, they were like, is this triggering for you, Petra? I'm like, no. It felt refreshing to know that I wish that I had this kind of a support system from people my age. But these girls came together in such a way that was like, wow, like you can make something that is so difficult into something so beautiful anyway. And so, I highly recommend it. Yeah. It's a great one.
If you would have read that when you were 18, how do you think that would have?
Well, I probably would have been the one to say, okay, guys, we're going to have a pregnancy support group. Yeah. I was very much the mom in my group. So like I never drank. Like I drank when I was 21 for the first time. It was not fun. But I was always the mom of the group, making sure everybody. So I would have absolutely been like, okay, who's pregnant? You keeping it? Okay, we're gonna have a support group. Like I would have been an organizer of said group.
I love that.
Yeah, and it probably would have been difficult because I'm like, I'm trying to figure this out too. But life is not meant to be done alone.
Yeah.
And I always highlight that it's okay for us to build community, even if it comes together in a way that might be, and I wouldn't say trauma bonding, but trauma, we started with trauma, but then it blossomed into something so much more beautiful. But if this was something I would have done, this would have been a book that we would have read as a pregnant group.
Well, I think finding like any sort of connection, I think we tend to overlook how important it is to be connected to people, and not like just on social media, but like in real life. Like It's crazy what in-person conversation with someone can really do and change your life.
Yeah, no, it's so true. And we're social beings.
Totally.
We are meant to be connected to each other.
Totally.
And then you don't realize how actually connected a lot of us are.
For sure.
You know, even though we have different walks of life, grew up in different places, have had different experiences.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, this next one is an author that I love, and I know you're probably like, Whitney, why have you not read this book yet? Because I bought it from you.
You did in June of last year, might I add. I just wanted to kind of, just letting you know that it was June.
No, but yeah, this is being bumped up.
It has to.
And she's coming out with a new book this year.
Yes.
I know.
It's not in June.
7 Days in June. I loved that book. A love song for Ricky Wilde.
Yes.
Another beautiful cover as well.
So beautiful. So beautiful. We're going to the Black Book Romance Festival in Atlanta.
Cool.
And our assigned author is Tia Williams.
Amazing. What does that mean, assigned author?
So we basically are hosting, we're doing her pre-orders for her books. She'll be with us doing her book signing.
That's incredible.
So I'm so excited.
When is it?
It's end of May, like May, Memorial weekend.
So how did you just apply to be a vendor? Like, how did that work?
Yeah, so I actually applied to be a sponsor because I was trying to get tickets and I couldn't. Then my friend, Lotus, shout out to Lotus, she was like, Petra, let's just sponsor. You could sponsor it. We can get these badges and you'll be a signed sponsor. It's only like $100 more. And then me and you would go half. And I'm like, ooh, girl, okay, that's a good idea. So we sponsored and we had a conversation with them about, hey, I actually want to host one of their experiences. So then we ended up doing that. And they were like, oh, we're actually looking for a bookstore. So it all kind of it started off as sponsorship. Then we're also hosting one of their add-ons experiences with Blind Date with a Book. And then we also were like, oh, we need a bookstore. I'm like, oh, we got you. We got you in the bookstore.
I love that.
So it all came together so beautifully. But A Love Song for Ricky Wilde is hands down one of my top favorite reads of all time. I know you've heard me say this spiel like 50 million times now. You could probably say it yourself now.
We need to hear it again. No, we need to hear it again. Because when you explain everything in this book, it's like, wait, all of that is included in the story?
Yeah, so it's romance, fantasy, historical fiction, and then I would say a huge part of it is a coming of age. So all of that is kind of is wrapped up into this Ricky Wilde. First of all, let me just tell you, Ricky's name is Richard. I'm still mad about that. I think I will always be mad because why did you guys decide to still name her Richard after you guys found out that she was a girl? I know you really wanted a boy, but like you could have done something else. Like,
and then what does her boyfriend call her?
Little Richard. I was like, Ezra, have you lost your damn mind? I was like, no, he did not just call her Little Richard. Okay, you know what? This is going too far because, excuse me. But yes, her name is Richard. They call her Ricky. I'm not really a fan of her family. Was ready to like pluck her mama.
And everyone will read this not liking her family, right? Like, are they the antagonists?
They are definitely
okay.
antagonists.
Okay.
But you know what? Then you realize, like, the mom, she's like an alcoholic. The dad does show up for Ricky as best as he can, considering the craziness that he's a part of. Her sisters, I wanted to fight them the whole book. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, until I realized they're jealous. They're jealous that Ricky had the courage to follow her dreams, and they did not. And so jealousy comes up in these ways that are so, like, it feels like it's rooted in hate, but it's actually rooted in envy. And like, wow, I wish I had the courage to do what you do.
I think that envy and jealousy is really at the root of so much like of gossip and not liking someone and putting people down. I mean, at the end of the day, that's the jealousy, envy, insecurity thing is really what it boils down to.
Yeah, it all wraps up into that. And so Ricky, you know, she leaves her family. They have like a successful funeral home down south. She wants to live in Harlem. She's like, you know what? I'm about to she had like a florist page and it had like 300,000 followers. It's like, I'm gonna start open my floral shop. And then Miss Zella, who was one of my favorites, somehow they get connected because Miss Zella was burying her husband through their funeral home. And she's like, I have a brownstone in Harlem. I would love to have you come and, you know, open your floral shop. And then you see how Miss Zella steps up as her chosen family. And then we have Tuesday. Tuesday's that friend that all you gotta do is call her, meet me outside. She's not asking any questions. She's gonna meet you outside. You guys are gonna go do whatever craziness you're gonna do. And after, she's gonna be like, damn, girl. Wow, that was fun. Now, why did we do that? Like, that's Tuesday. But you see Ricky go out and do her own thing, and then you watch how she creates these really meaningful pockets of relationships with other people. And I always think like chosen family is such a, for me, because they're not entitled to be there for you. You have been able to cultivate something so beautiful. And so you see Ricky go through all of these things with her chosen family. Then she finds this man that she loves, Ezra. I love that name, Ezra. Ezra's like 100 and something years old, gets very fantasy. Wow. I'm like, hold on, what the is happening right now? Because I'm not a fantasy girl. So now I'm like, how old is he? 107? What's going on? And then it all kind of comes together, and there's this Harlem Renaissance piece of it. But well written, like amazingly written. Mm-hmm. I think Tia Williams put her foot in this book. She put her foot in all books, but this book particularly, she put her foot in. She showed her skill set as a writer. And in the end, get ready, you're gonna cry.
But it is a romance book, technically.
It is a romance, right? Yes, it's a romance book.
Okay.
Because Ezra and Ricky fall in love.
Yeah, of course. So there's a love story.
It's a love story, but you know what? The romance is also the platonic romance.
Yes, it is.
You see Miss Della, as a grandma for her, and then Miss Della has a bucket list, and then she had a bucket list. She dyed her hair pink. I'm like, all right, this is something's going on, Miss Della. Right, then we figure out what's going on, Miss Della. Then Tuesday, you see that friendship, that sisterhood that she wasn't able to get with her friends, and then she got with Tuesday.
Yeah.
So it's romance, yes, but like platonic and all things romance. And when you cry at the end, it's not because you're sad. It's going to be so beautiful.
Beautiful, yeah.
Yeah.
I have never had anybody convince me to read a book as much as you have convinced me.
I'm telling you, listen, I do this to everybody. You want my top pick? I think, Tia, if you're listening, just make me your spokesperson.
No, seriously.
Because
you should be your agent.
So I know her agent. Funny enough, her agent is my godfather's like friend-ish. So I actually know her agent.
Oh,
she's known me since I was a kid. Like she knows me since I was like 12.
It was meant to be.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It was written in the stars.
Oh my God. I told my, can you get her here? Please?
I love that.
So yes, I've known her agent for a long time. So I'm her agent's assistant.
Junior assistant.
Junior agent. I'm just here to
I love that. And you're going to meet her. Have you met her before?
I had.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually went to Can't Get Enough Bookstore in LA, and it was in conversation with Tia and her.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this is not the book that she signed. She signed my other one.
Okay.
I
love that.
Yeah.
So you, these are all books that you've recommended. When someone comes and visits you in your bookstore, how do you gauge like what books to recommend them? Because everyone's different. Like, what are questions you ask? Like, what are things you like to learn about people before you recommend something?
Yeah, I always ask, what do you like? And then how crazy are you trying to get too? Like, are you, because like if people say, hey, I want to read something I haven't written or I haven't read, I'm sorry, then I'm going to give you something that you probably wouldn't have otherwise picked up. Because my goal too is like, I want you as readers, all of us, me too, is to expand our reading palette. And so when they come in and say, hey, what do you recommend? I'm like, hey, what are you into? And then if they say, hey, I'm kind of strict on this, and this, I'll fall in line for those, right? Or if I say, hey, are you open to other things? And like, yes, I am. I'm like, ooh, my favorite. Okay, let me show you guys these. And so I absolutely, like, hands down, I can't even keep the book in stock. I can have like 20 books in stock at it doesn't matter, because I probably sold more of this book than I have any other book in the bookstore.
Wow. And
by a long shot.
How do you choose which books? Because obviously like you have a mobile bookstore, and can people buy your books online?
Yeah, we have a bookshop.org as well. Okay. But we do have limited space, right? So when I first started, it was like more of my books, because I'm like, all right, we're gonna go with this. But then I do take recommendations. What do you guys want to see? What's coming out? Like the thriller and the fantasy girls are like, girl, I'm like, I'm not a thriller girl, but I know that this is a big thing right now. So like I have a lot of thriller, I have mystery and those kind of pieces. So it depends on what is available, like what people say, what I can get my hands on. And then I also try to keep it kind of fresh and get things that people don't often see. So indie authors also, we have local authors that we have like subscription models for, like, hey, local authors, please let me know what you like so I can get your books into the bookstore and increase your visibility even here in the Valley. There's a lot of authors here that are not necessarily seen.
There are so many authors, and if I've learned anything from just starting this podcast is like there's an unlimited amount of authors,
100%.
Local authors, so many.
Yes, ma'am.
So what is your advice for someone who, like myself, like a white woman, hey, I need to diversify my reading list? What is your advice for readers that are wanting to bring other perspectives into their world?
I say, first of all, that is imperative. it is imperative to be able to see things from a different lens, especially from the lens of like Black people and Black bodies, right? I think it's number 2. Like, there are so many books. We have the Octavia Butlers, we have the Toni Morrisons, we have the Bell Hooks, we have the Alice Walkers. Like, we have so many like staple books that are like important to read, because it does give you the opportunity to open your heart and open your mind. And then the other part is like, if you're looking to read it, also know, what is your goal? Is your goal to actually understand, another perspective? Because also some people are like, hey, I just want to do it because it's taboo. Don't do that. Don't do it because it's trendy. Don't do it because right now, oh yeah, don't. Like, if you actually want to be able to understand, and then there's a level of allyship that comes with that, like, I even know that I have a certain level of privilege, and I recognize that. And I recognize that there's things that I can do to open the doors for other people behind me, right? And so just make sure it's rooted in the right reasoning first. And then there are a plethora of books that you absolutely can read and engage with that will allow you the space to gain a different perspective, and then also recognize that the lens that you operate from is not the only lens. And not to be defensive when you hear that, right? Not to be defensive that oh my God, what, I also have difficulty. Yes, we're not saying that. We're not saying that you don't have difficulty. We are saying that there is other perspectives here that you just would never experience, And so it's okay to honor that. It's okay to be there, but also like make sure you're doing it for the right reasons.
For sure. And it's not performative. It's like, hey, I actually really like want to understand what it's like to be someone else. Because then when you have that information, what are you going to do with it? Yeah. How are you going to put that into play to make sure that you open doors for people that otherwise doors wouldn't be open for, right? So yeah, please no performative, because I'm like, I can sense it. Yeah. I can sense it from a mile away. And I keep it real, cordial and cute, but like, I'm also not that cute sometimes. Yeah. I'm also very much like, I stand 10 toes down when it comes to these things, because I do it because I know it's important. I do it because I'm a Black woman. I do it because my mom's a Black woman. I do it because I'm raising Black children, but also because I recognize the opportunity that lies here. And when people do things with the right intentions, like, actual change can come up. Like, we can have these hard conversations and things could improve, but you have to actually want to do it and not just to check off a box. Definitely. And you've created such a beautiful space for people to come and meet you, and you're so passionate about this. And I can tell that from like the second I met you. So are you okay if someone is listening to this and they want to maybe ask you questions or maybe get recommendations? What is the best way for listeners, for readers to contact you? So email is best. Okay. We got a brand manager. She does all the social media. You guys don't want me on social media. So I kind of pop in when I can. But email is best. Between myself and my very small but mighty team, it is important for us to, provide responses and give recommendations. And my goal is always to reply. So email is best. And if, Instagram is an easier place, we could always, connect there and then connect through email after. And you have your email on Instagram. Yes, and ma'am. It's at the Lit Twis't. Yep. Hello at thelitTwist.com. And then also... if people want to shop with you, you have it online. And then you also, though, on your Instagram, you guys do a great job of letting people know where you'll be. Yeah, where we'll be. We have the bookshop.org. If you're looking to support us with audiobooks, we have a Libro account that supports any bookstores and any authors as well. So, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, as always, thank you so much for being here. Of course. We appreciate you. I'm always pulling up for you. You always pull up for us. So, yeah, of course. Thank you so much, Whitney.